All right, let's get into it. Today, we are unlocking the secrets behind a piece of tech that has completely changed the game for movies and music. I'm talking about Dolby Atmos. If you've ever been watching a movie and felt like you were literally inside it, well, this is probably why.
So just start by thinking about this question for a second. For years, we've had sound that comes at us from the front, maybe the sides, maybe from behind you. But what if it could come from literally anywhere? Above you, below you? What if it could move right through the space you're in? That's the big idea we're tackling.
And that's exactly the promise of Dolby Atmos. It's not just about adding more speakers. No, it's a completely different way of thinking about how audio works. It creates this true three-dimensional soundscape, like a bubble of sound that you, the listener, are right in the middle of.
Now, to really get what makes Atmos such a big deal, we kind of have to look at how things used to be done. It really all boils down to a huge shift from what we call channels to something called objects.
Okay, so this slide really breaks it down. On the left, you've got the old school way, channel-based audio. Think of your classic 5.1 or 7.1 surround sound. A sound mixer would have to decide, okay, this explosion sound goes to the rear left speaker. It's locked in. But now, look at the right side. With object-based audio, that explosion isn't tied to a speaker anymore. It's its own dynamic object.
So what on earth is an audio object? Well, it's pretty much the magic ingredient here. Imagine a single bee buzzing in a scene. With Atmos, that buzz is an object. And it has a little bit of data attached to it that says, hey, I'm starting back here, behind the couch, and I'm going to fly up and over your head and then land on the screen. See? It's not assigned to a speaker, it's assigned to a point in space. Your Atmos system is smart enough to figure out which of your speakers to use to make that happen. Okay, so what does this mean for the people actually making the movies and music? How do they use these little sound objects to build those incredible worlds we get to hear? Turns out they have a massive digital playground to mess around in. Take a look at this number, 128. That's how many of these separate, independent audio objects a sound designer can have flying around a 3D space at any single moment. That is an absolutely incredible sonic palette to paint with. And this is the result. With up to 128 objects to play with, creators can put a sound with pinpoint accuracy anywhere inside that sound bubble. A whisper that feels like it's right next to your ear, footsteps creeping up from behind you, or, yeah, a spaceship roaring directly over your head. And this is really the secret sauce. The thing that truly separates Atmos from any surround sound that came before is the addition of height. This is what lets you hear rain that actually sounds like it's hitting the roof above you, or a helicopter that feels like it is genuinely flying overhead. It just adds this layer of realism that was never, ever possible before. Okay, all this tech talk is cool, but it's kind of meaningless without the art, right? So let's dive into some iconic movie scenes and even some music to really hear what this power can do, because hearing is believing. There are a few movies that audio fans always point to as the gold standard for what Dolby Atmos can do. These aren't just movies with a few cool effects. They're films where the 3D sound is an essential part of telling the story.
Let's start with a classic demo scene from Gravity. When that space station is getting torn to shreds, Atmos makes you feel the absolute, terrifying chaos of it all. The sound of that debris isn't just loud, it's everywhere. It whips past you, over you, under you. It puts you right inside that helmet. It is so effective. Or think about the world of Blade Runner 2049. When the spinner is flying through that rainy, dark city, you hear the individual raindrops hitting the canopy right above your head. At the same time, you hear other vehicles panning seamlessly overhead and all around you. It's that detail that makes the world feel so dense and so real. And if you want to talk about pure scale and power, you had to talk about the sandworm scenes in Dune. The Atmos mix uses that deep, rumbling bass, of course, but it combines it with sound from those height channels to give you the immense scale of this creature as it just erupts from the sand. You don't just hear the sandworm, you feel its presence. But look, this revolution isn't just happening in movie theaters. The world of music is embracing this object-based audio in a massive way, giving all of us a completely new way to hear our favorite albums. I mean, when an album as legendary as Pink Floyd's The Dark Side of the Moon gets a full Atmos remix, you know this is a big deal. Instead of a flat stereo sound, the engineers can now place instruments and vocals anywhere in that 3D space, creating this psychedelic, room-filling experience that has become a new benchmark for audiophiles everywhere. So, where does this all go?
Is this just another audio format that'll fade away, or is it something bigger? Well, if you ask the people who actually craft these soundscapes for a living, they'll tell you this is very much the future. Yeah, this quote from mastering engineer Brian Lucy just hits the nail on the head. The whole point of audio has always been to get closer to realism, to immersion. And Atmos finally gives creators the tools to put sounds exactly where they would be in the real world. It's not about being louder, it's about being more believable. And that kind of leaves us with one last really fascinating question. As this technology gets more and more common in our soundbars, our headphones, even our cars, are we heading toward a future where all audio is designed to be experienced this way, in 3D? The future of sound is already here, and it's all around us. Thanks for watching.